guys I better get used to that.
Welcome to At the Elephants. I'm your host, Rob Morris, and I'm very excited to have you back with us. As many of you know, the Apple keynote took place this week in which they unveiled the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. Being a bit of a tech aficionado, I haven't missed an Apple keynote in quite a number of years, certainly since before Tim Cook took over. And this year, however, I had something of a revelation. The way I see it, you can only fall in one of two categories. Either you're playing the game and your life is all over Facebook and or Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Tinder, Grindr, Spanker, Snapchat, Venmo, AOL, ICQ, MySpace, Friendster, and Bank of America, or you're living off the grid in a bunker underground where at the very least your Duck Dynasty and Pawn Stars viewing habits are being shared with Time Warner Cable. For years, I've been a perpetrator of the subconscious hypocrisy of thinking that I could fall on some sort of spectrum between these two worlds. Oh, I'll only let this app or that app have my info. I'll use my thumbprint to pay for stuff because that's more secure. Well, the truth is, Mr. Cook and his pals in Cupertino this past week unknowingly communicated to me how foolish this was. There is no middle ground. I'm playing this game for better or for worse, so what does this mean about my choice? It means that deep down in my heart of hearts, I do not actually believe that this will all lead to Big Brother slapping a barcode on my neck and forcing me to stand in DMV-like processing lines for my breakfast each day. I can't believe in that as a possibility or I wouldn't have the capacity to make status updates. When they come to put my shot collar on, I'll have to remember that I chose to be naive over being paranoid. And I think I'm okay with that. Speaking of living off the grid and shot collars, let's talk to Robert Beseda. The Beseda Chronicles Part 1. Huntsville, Texas is famous mostly for being home to the largest prison facility in the Lone Star State. It will also go down in history as the town that let loose Robert Maitland Beseda unto the world. Former assistant dean of drama for 2 decades, this dear friend of mine should be no stranger to our listeners. In case you're quite that unfortunate, here's a little backstory. That's good. So your mom was staying at home, or?
My mom was not a stay-at-home mom. She worked for my dad.
Oh, great.
She was the accountant and bookkeeper at the Western Auto. A Western Auto store sells everything.
Right.
Refrigerators, ovens, bicycles, tires.
Telephones, radios.
Yeah, telephones, radios, shotguns, shotgun shells, fishing equipment.
It was Walmart before Walmart.
Yeah. And it's a place just about everybody in town had to go to once a week or so.
Making your family name a little popular in that way.
Yeah. Buster, R.L. Buster Beseda. And my father's nickname is Buster because he was a center on the football team at Sam Houston, which is where he met my mom. And he was thick. He had his neck was 19-inch neck and very broad shoulders and calves.
Tank of a
man.
And
he was
Did he want you to play football at all?
Oh yeah, he did. And I didn't want to.
Over?
And I never really enjoyed sports.
Right.
I never liked competing. I liked playing softball. Well, nobody took it that seriously.
Right.
You know, you were just playing.
Right.
You know, you don't get really pissed off and angry about losing a softball game.
That's probably why it's the
and you don't have your parents out there going, yeah. Now, I did love bowling, and I was a good bowler.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You still bowl?
No. I always loved it, and then I was good at it. Yeah. I have no real technique. I throw a very straight ball. I don't spin or any of those kinds of things.
Right.
And
got a nice release.
Yeah. And when I was an actor at the Oslo Theater in Sarasota, I was there for a member of their company for 2 years in the late 70s. We would bowl every Monday night. We'd get drunk. No, we'd get stoned. And then we go to the bowling alley. And the rule was you had to drink a beer per game. We bowled 3 games. My second game was always my best. By the time we got to my third game, I was pretty psyched up. But the point of this is it was at the Oslo in Sarasota where I bowled my top score, which was 240.
No way.
I bowled 6 strikes in a row.
240 is a hell of a bowling score.
Yeah, I have it.
For anyone listening who doesn't know, that's quite good.
Yeah.
So so you didn't do the football.
I was in the
baseball.
band. I played the trombone. I played through my junior year of high, but I had gotten so involved with the theater and stuff that I wanted to spend more time doing that.
Right.
And one act competitions.
So that was going on then.
It was a big deal back then.
Wow. Yeah, because that's.
I mean, it wasn't quite the blood sport it has become.
It's interesting too because when you get to NCSA and you meet other people from Texas, that's the thing that you can count on to relate to them theater-wise.
And when I was a freshman, they did the Apollo of Bellac, which is a one-act play by Giraudoux, the French playwright. And I auditioned for it, and I got cast in the lead, Apollo.
Freshman year.
Wow. And this was a big deal.
Sure.
And I think some of the upperclassmen were not happy
If
about
a freshman had gotten the lead my senior year at one act, I would have had some questions too.
And we went to is it the regionals? Is that where you go to first?
District
was
where we went
to district. It was exhilarating. I remember how exciting it was.
Oh, it's incredible.
And I remember how frightening it was too. The stakes were personally very high.
Oh yeah.
And I won. Did they have Best Supporting Actor?
All-star cast.
I won all-star, and then my junior and senior year, I won Best Actor in both. Well, we didn't even have a drama teacher.
Right.
Our plays were directed by either an English teacher or a history teacher, and
that's pretty common for then.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not even sure if we would have gone to these contests if I hadn't have really pushed it.
So how do you get from so you're in a smaller town in Texas that refuses to be 12,000 people and you have 2 Best Actor awards. So how do you end up at Juilliard? Stay tuned to ATE for the continuing stories of Robert Beseda. It's Fraser, not Frasier. Leaving school and adjusting to anything else is a unique challenge. Alexander M. Roth is a graduate of the School of Filmmaking from 2011. Here's Mr. Roth on his first semester out of class.
When I graduated, I didn't know which city I was going to end up in, New York or LA. I then took the June off. I did nothing in June. I sat like a couch potato and did nothing. It was fantastic. It was one of the to tell you the truth, decompressing for those first 3 months was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Putting off moving out?
Yeah, because, when you're at School of the Arts, I always describe School of the Arts as like a high-speed Japanese bullet train. And at the beginning of every year, you're standing on a bridge, and you have to jump on this train. So every single time you jump on, it's still nasty. The splat that you make on the train is a nasty splat. And it hurts, but then you get up to the speed of the bullet train, and then you're good to go. Mm-hmm. Then once the school year ends, you kind of just get thrown off because you operate at such a speed and at such an intensity level that you get used to that being your life, and then summer comes and you're thrown off the train, and then you go back to it, you have a splat again, and then you get back up to that speed, you keep going, you're thrown off again, and it's this cycle.
Right.
Well, once you graduate, and if you make it through to graduation, you get thrown off, and then I found my body, my psyche, my mental awareness, my emotional capacity was waiting for that to happen again. That intensity level, that speed, almost craving it.
Just hanging out at the station waiting for the next train to come by.
Yeah, and I knew it wasn't coming. Yeah, so I realized that I can't even ever say to myself, I have to go back to that station.
Right.
I know that when I graduated, that experience was over. There may be experiences later in life that have that same kind of speed, but I don't think so. It won't be the same kind of situation with all of these elements in one pot.
But to expand on your train analogy more, because I like it, if you keep walking down the tracks in the direction that you were headed, if you keep walking down the tracks being like the work, other trains come by. They may not be
absolutely.
bullet trains. And what I mean by like, I'm so fascinated by the way you put it, is like the information that you have now that you didn't have before is that if a bullet train comes by, you can jump and splat and live.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that.
Yeah. So took a break. In July, I went out for interviews in Los Angeles. And then I did a week in Los Angeles, and then I did a week in New York. Did the interviews, and I decided that I was going to move to New York while I was in Los Angeles. I just knew.
Yeah.
No question about it. Got to New York, had great interviews, met with some wonderful people. And
what was the first job that you got?
The first thing I did in New York was, well, the first two things. They happened simultaneously. I was going to the New York Film Festival, watching a bunch of movies. It was seeing, New York collects the best movies from Sundance, Berlin, South by Southwest, Cannes, Telluride, Toronto, etc.
Right.
Venice. And they...
Because it's after all of them.
It's the last major festival of the year. Some people will argue that AFI is. So I did that, but my first job was... I was Brendan Fraser's assistant and driver.
Nice.
I got the job on a Monday. I picked up the car on Tuesday, and I picked up Brendan Fraser on
I was about
Wednesday.
to ask about that.
So Fraser is like Frasier the show Frasier.
Right, not Fraser Crane.
Not Fraser Crane,
Brendan
but Fraser. So I picked him up at the Trump Soho, and at 5 a.m. in the morning, tall guy, and comes down, and I say, hello, Mr. Fraser. I probably said Fraser. I didn't know it was Fraser until we started chatting. And I said, so good morning, Mr. Fraser. And he goes, if you ever call me that again, I'll kill you.
He said that?
In probably a nicer way than that, but pretty much.
You think he'd be better at dealing with it by now?
No, he goes, I called him, and he goes...
because of Mr.?
Yeah. And so he goes, call me Brendan. And I was like, Brendan, good morning. And he sat in the front seat with me. And then I drove him pretty much for the next 6 weeks.
Wow. Nice.
We spent anywhere from we were shooting on Staten Island all the time, actually. So depending on the day and depending on where in Staten Island, depending on traffic, we were in the car with one another from an hour to 2 hours every day.
Wow. So
every morning he would come down with the New York Times. So he was sitting up front with me. Not much of a talker in the morning, but would then start talking. Like the first 5 minutes were hard, and then he would, start talking. He's very, very fast and very bright. And I found that he could process information at a speed that I had never encountered. The speed at which he processes information, and that he can then take this information and then link it together with other information and making jokes and then and rattling off things, and it's hilarious. And so I'm driving,
right,
depending on the time of day. There would be moments when we're going down towards Staten Island, and I'm like, Brendan, you can't make me laugh this hard. Like you really just can't. Right. Because I'm driving you. Like, please. Like,
it's dangerous for you to be so entertaining right now.
Yeah. And that was a really great, the mornings were great.
You guys still in touch?
Yeah. Yeah. Every once in a while. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was a blast.
Shoot. You got me on this one. I sleep with my lights on blink. It shouldn't come undone. Spinning a record fall.
Booyah, non-drama guest on the show. Nailed it. Disney up the girl. So you're on the bullet train and you survive the splat cycle. What have you come to expect about the final destination? Well, whatever you do, don't compare yourself to Elizabeth Lail. Sometimes we are flung from one train to the next just when we thought we'd reach off-peak hours. Sometimes, and very rarely in this host's mind, wonderful things happen to wonderful people. In this case, Elizabeth was flung directly from the hurtling locomotive of NCSA as it slammed into graduation into the soft, doughy arms of the Disney universe when she was cast as the first live-action imagining of Anna from Disney's Frozen. A Frozen story arc will be featured on the upcoming 4th season of Once Upon a Time on ABC, assuring that Elizabeth will be princess for more than a day. Ms. Lail was born in Texas but raised in Asheboro, North Carolina. From a very young age, she wanted two things above most else: to attend NCSA for drama and to be a Disney princess. She was granted the first wish twice. She attended the high school drama program as well, and now she's managed the other. You know, I'll just let her tell you about it. So, you got your wish twice.
That's so true.
and now you're a Disney princess, is that right? Am I phrasing that correctly?
That's absolutely right. And that's another wish I had. So the universe, gives you what you want in mysterious ways.
That's right. That absolutely seems to be the case. And how much do you think it's what is your feeling on the whole luck versus hard work thing? I think everybody agrees it takes a little bit of both, but as someone who seems to have a lot of both, how do you feel about that?
I think that, I feel like it's not so much luck as something inside of you. This is going to get a little like hokey pokey.
That's okay. You're a Disney girl now.
So, well, here, I'll start with this. First off, I think that the hard work is definitely like 80% of it, at least. And I think you'd be surprised. What I'm learning in this business is you'd be surprised how people aren't working very hard. So when you go the extra mile, people are really shocked and drawn to you. And but for me, it feels totally normal. Like, absolutely, you would do that work. But not everyone does that work. So I definitely think that, preparation and hard work is huge. And then I think the luck aspect is something inside of you that is willing to be open. So when I was auditioning for this particular part, I could feel that it was special. And I think because my heart was open to it, and I really allowed myself to connect to it in a deeper personal way. And I think that maybe sparks luck, is that if your heart is open to it, and you're doing the work, then there's like these cosmos that will come together in just the right way that will recognize that.
Well, and it doesn't hurt that you look just like her.
Right. But I didn't think that.
Like, and how weird is that? Because, I have to get this out of the way and admit that I've not seen the movie.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch it.
I know. And I thought about it like 2 days ago. I was like, oh man, I have not left myself a lot of time to commit to seeing that movie, because I haven't seen that movie yet. I did read a bunch about the show and about the movie and the ideas behind. Like, I got a great idea so that I could talk to you, but
yeah.
But I haven't seen it, and so when I saw on, I don't know what, Facebook or whatever it was, they did the like side by side with your headshot and the picture of her. Like, you didn't take that headshot meaning for it to look like that picture, but it certainly looked like you did. It looks like you went out and were like, I'm getting that part, and you went and got ahead, and you're like, no, tilt it exactly the right way and make sure my eyes are the right color. And I was like, I've not seen this movie, But if I had, I wonder if I had I wonder if I would have looked at that movie and thought, oh, you know what? That kind of looks like a little round-headed Elizabeth Lail.
Well, it's funny because when I saw that movie for the first time, I thought that I was much more of an Elsa. Yeah, and I feel like if we were doing the play at school, that I would have been in the Elsa category as opposed to the Anna category. But of course, the more and more I work on Anna, I'm like, oh yes, of course this was for me. Yeah. And the casting pool is very different. Once you're out of school, it's, I feel like the roles kind of open up more because you're not having to like meet needs of a whole class. You're all of a sudden in the whole world, and you'd be surprised what you could play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think, what do you think this is gonna mean for you as far as work from now on? Do you think this is like you have a type now and you're stuck in any way? How do you feel about that?
It's, for me, it's been a huge learning experience. So it's been super educational, and I'm hoping that I am soaking in as much information as possible. So for the next job, it will just help me that much more. And I definitely think my name will be a little bit more well known in some kind of strange way.
Oh no, in a very regular way. I mean, you're gonna be a name for sure. There's no doubt about that.
So that's something strange. And I'm not finding yet that I'm auditioning for roles just like this. Like I said, I would have never pictured myself as this before I started working on it. So I auditioned for all kinds of things, and I'd hope, I really, I want to do a movie, and I really want to be in a play. I want to keep doing different things. So anything that's challenging. So that would be my hope, is to continue to do all kinds of things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you've got a much better chance of doing something like that now.
Mm-hmm. Well, now they have something to reference beyond a student film, which is really, really nice. It's good to have.
Absolutely. And, anything that you go to after this is, anything they do to promote that next thing is going to include that line that's, this is Elizabeth Lail from Once Upon a Time, and, that's going to be with you for a while, and in a good way.
Right. I'm not, I don't think I'm afraid of being pigeonholed in any way of a Disney princess.
I wouldn't be. You're so very talented. And I'm not just saying that to be nice, but I'm also saying it to be nice. But I'm not saying it only to be nice, because I only have the security to ask you a question like that because I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, if I really thought that there was a chance of that taking place, then I probably wouldn't be so bold as to say, like, yes, you think you're stuck? Because you're not. I don't think so.
I feel like this character is she is so much more than a Disney princess. So there are a lot of complexities and layers to her, though I don't feel stuck in that kind of princess vein, but I'm very happy to get to play one.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the equivalent of, Donald Glover just got the Spider-Man thing. I don't know if you saw this. The guy from Community, he's also Childish Gambino. He just got to voice the new animated Spider-Man character on a TV show. And for him, it's just he's a huge Spider-Man fan. He's been a Spider-Man fan his whole life, and now he gets to be Spider-Man. Even if it's not in the movie, and even if you're not the voice of somebody in Frozen 2, the movie, you're still playing her in live action
right.
on television. So you're still you're her now. Do you feel like you've been welcomed into the Disney family in any way?
Absolutely. I definitely feel very welcomed. I'm really lucky because everyone I've worked with so far who's involved with Once Upon a Time is just the nicest, most giving, caring people. So I definitely feel a part of the Frozen legacy, which is super cool because I fell in love with the movie the moment I saw it. And it is like a dream come true. I've always said I wanted to be a Disney princess. And like you said, even though I'm not voicing a character in an actual Disney movie, it's like the universe has given me it in a way I could have never imagined.
Do not miss the premiere of Season 4 of Once Upon a Time, Sunday, September 28th on ABC at 8, 7 Central. I'm sure some of you are wondering why the UNCSA police car was featured in the graphic for this episode. I'm going to tell you why right now. I'm opening At the Elephants up in a whole new way to everybody who engages with the program. I want to hear from you. I want to know your comments. I want to know your opinions. Positive, negative, you know what? I can take it. Not worried about it. One of the ways in which I'll be doing this is with a brand new segment I'm calling Back Talk. I'm opening up the comments on the Facebook page for At the Elephants. I want you guys to hit up the Facebook page and leave your comments on this week's subject. And then in 2 weeks, I'm going to come back on. We're going to talk about what you guys said and share some of those views. And keep in mind, it is public. So you guessed it, this week's subject is UNCSA Campus Police. Now, I know this is a hot subject. It's why I picked it. They have a new facility open this year. How do you feel about that? We need the new facility? What are they doing over there? So go on the Facebook page and share a story. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the new building. Tell me what you think of those Dodge Chargers. Tell me if you think they're doing a good job. Tell me if you think they're doing a bad job. Coming soon to At the Elephants, Bandits on the Run, featuring Sydney Shepherd and Regina Strayhorn. A band based in New York City is going to be coming in via satellite, really, it's via internet, and doing an exclusive song with us and also having an interview. I'm very excited to have them on in a few weeks. In the meantime, our musical guest this week is Sydney Shepherd. I'm going to be playing a song off her album Gypsy Life, an EP that you can find on iTunes. And by can find on iTunes, I mean please go buy it as soon as this is over. This song is called Sunlight.
Well, I'm not so good with words, but my lips won't let you down. And if you can give me color, then I can give you sound. And we may not have time, reason, or rhyme, but we sure as hell got plenty to find out about you and me and how we'll be. But together we'll see, together we'll see. I'm not so good at dancing, but I move so well with you. And I'm sure this new grand feeling ain't just grand just 'cause it's new. There's something true in the way your heart makes me sway, and the way your smile grows from dawn into day. And the fires we built, they're burning still in you and in me, you and in me. And I know the days grow
I'm sure by now you know by that sound that that's our show, folks. Thank you so much for listening, and please get in touch on the Facebook page and let me know your thoughts about the campus police, the most poignant of which will be shared on our next episode of At the Elephants. Peace be with you, and also with you.
So I've been reading about nameless things, don't ask me what they are.